In the small seaside town of Novozersk, where waves lazily rolled onto the sandy shore and seagulls circled above the old pier, a story began that would forever change the lives of many. It was a warm September day. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A routine patrol by the local police received a call. A suspicious person had been spotted near an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The man, according to the description, looked unkempt, sitting on a concrete slab, clutching a worn backpack. There was no one around him, only the wind blowing dust across the wasteland. Officers Anna Kovaleva and Dmitry Sokolov were the first to arrive at the scene. They noticed a man, elderly, with gray hair, wearing a worn jacket and faded pants. His face was covered with wrinkles, and his gaze was fixed somewhere in the distance, as if he saw not this abandoned warehouse, but something far away, long forgotten. Next to him lay a backpack, worn with a faded army emblem. Anna, keeping her hand on the radio, asked gently but firmly, "Sir, please tell me your name and show me what you have in your backpack." The man slowly raised his head. His hands trembled as he tried to stand up, leaning on the concrete. I'm just resting," he muttered, his voice hoarse but soft. "I'm not doing anything wrong." Dmitry frowned. Something about this man aroused suspicion. His clothes, his loneliness, the way he clung to his backpack. Onlookers had already begun to gather around the warehouse, several workers from a nearby construction site and a local fisherman returning from the pier. Anna called for backup, mentioning that the situation could be serious. A few minutes later, a black police SUV arrived at the scene. Officer Igor Lebedev, a burly man with a stern face, got out of the vehicle, holding a powerful Belgian Malinois named Grom on a leash. The dog was trained to search and detain, his eyes burning with attention, his body tense in anticipation of a command. "Tell me your name and open your backpack," Dmitry shouted, his voice becoming sharper. The man tried to stand up again, but his legs buckled. He grabbed his side, grimacing in pain, and whispered, "Please, I'm not dangerous." But the officers couldn't take any chances. The onlookers stepped back. Someone took out their phone and started filming what was happening. Igor stepped forward, his hand gripping the leash tightly. "Last time, sir. Open your backpack or we'll take action." The man froze, his eyes filled with fear. He tried to say something, but his words were jumbled. Igor, wasting no time, commanded, "Grom, take him." The Belgian Malinois sprang into action, his muscles tensing, his coat glistening in the rays of the setting sun. The onlookers gasped, expecting an imminent attack, but in the next second, something happened that no one expected. Instead of lunging, Grom stopped abruptly a meter away from the man. His ears twitched, he tilted his head, and let out a quiet, almost plaintive whimper. The dog took a step back, then forward again, sniffing. His tail, which had been tense, twitched slightly. The man, still trembling, looked at the dog. His lips moved, and he said quietly, almost in a whisper, "Baron, is that you?" At the sound of that name, Grom froze. His eyes, full of concentration, suddenly softened. He whimpered again, louder this time, and took a cautious step toward the man. Igor pulled on the leash, frowning. "Grom, what's wrong with you? Back." But the dog did not listen. Instead, he slowly lowered himself to the ground, his nose touching the man's old jacket. The man, as if forgetting about the police, reached out a trembling hand. "Baron, my boy," he said, his voice trembling. Tears glistened in his eyes. "It's me, Sergei." Grom, a powerful service dog trained in strict discipline, suddenly lay down in front of the man, resting his head on his knees. His tail wagged slowly, and another whimper escaped from his throat, full of anguish and joy at the same time. The onlookers froze. Anna lowered her radio. Dmitry removed his hand from his holster. Igor, still holding the leash, watched what was happening with his mouth open. "What the?" he began, but fell silent when he saw the man, whose name was Sergei, hug the dog. "I thought you were dead," Sergei whispered, his fingers buried in Grom's fur. "They said you were gone." Anna quickly contacted dispatch, requesting verification of the man and dog's information. While they waited for a response, the crowd around them grew. Workers, fishermen, even teenagers from the neighboring street. Everyone watched the scene, unable to look away. Some were filming videos, others were wiping away tears. A little girl standing next to her father whispered, "Daddy, the dog knows him." A few minutes later, the response came from the database. Sergei Ivanov, a former military dog handler, had been listed as missing after an incident at a military base in a distant country 7 years ago. An explosion destroyed his unit, and everyone assumed he had died. But Sergei survived, although he suffered a severe head injury that caused him to lose some of his memories. Without documents or family, He wandered around the country, becoming one of those whom society had forgotten. His dog Baron was found among the rubble, rescued, and handed over to the Novoarsk police service. He was renamed Grom and retrained, but no one knew that he had once been Sergei's partner. The officers lowered their weapons. The tension that had filled the air dissolved. Anna, usually reserved, turned away to hide her tears. Dmitri said quietly, "It's not just a dog, it's his family." Sergei sat on the ground, hugging Grom, who pressed himself against him, as if afraid of being taken away again. Flashes of memories flooded Sergei's mind. Training on snow-covered training grounds, night watches under the stars, moments when Baron saved him by warning him of hidden danger. He remembered petting the dog in the tent, Baron sleeping nearby, always ready for action. And the day when everything exploded. Smoke, screams, and the last thing he remembered was calling Baron before losing consciousness. Grom remembered too. He licked Sergei's hand, making a familiar sound. A short, low bark, as if to say, "I'm here, I haven't forgotten." The crowd around them began to applaud. Some cried, some hugged their loved ones. Video from the scene spread across social media, and by evening, the story of the dog who recognized his owner had gone viral. The headlines read, "Service dog refuses to attack and finds his lost friend." A reunion that melted hearts. Representatives of the city administration arrived at the warehouse. The police chief, a woman with kind eyes but a strict character, approached Sergei and Grom. The question was inevitable: what to do next? Grom was still listed as an active service dog, with duties and a strict schedule. But after what everyone had seen, the rules seemed unimportant. Igor, the officer holding the leash, stepped forward. "He made his choice," he said quietly. "And to be honest, so did we." Sergei, still sitting on the ground, looked at the officers with concern. "You're not going to take him away, are you?" he asked, hugging Grom close. The police chief knelt down next to him. "No, Sergei, we're taking him home." The crowd erupted in applause. Grom wagged his tail, as if understanding that his life was about to change. Sergei closed his eyes, pressing his forehead against the dog's head. It was a moment when time stood still, and all that mattered was their bond, unbreakable despite the years, trauma, and neglect. A few weeks later, Sergei and Grom settled into a small house for veterans by the sea. The house was modest but cozy, with a small garden where Grom could run and Sergei could sit on the porch watching the waves. Sergei underwent a medical examination, receiving help for the first time in years. Grom got a new collar with his old name, Baron, engraved next to a police badge. They slept side by side, as in the old days, and for the first time in a long time both felt at peace. The locals loved them. Children brought Grom toys. Veterans shared their stories, inspired by Sergei's fortitude and Baron's loyalty. Their story became a legend in Novozersk, a reminder that love and devotion can overcome any obstacle. Sergei was no longer homeless, and Baron was no longer just a service dog. They were two hearts that found each other. Two survivors who, despite everything, returned home. Friends, thank you for taking the time to read this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support us. See you in the next stories about wildlife.